Welcome to This is Thailand. I'm your host, and today's story is about Colm, a 59-year-old Irish lineman from County Cork who came to Pattaya looking for something simple, cheap living, warm weather, and a place to disappear. He'd worked honest his whole life, trusted the right people, done everything by the book. Then one decision by someone he'd known since he was a boy changed everything. What happened next in Thailand wasn't what he expected. It never is. The question we're asking today, why are expats leaving Pattaya? Is it still worth it? Well, Colm's got some thoughts on that. This one's going to stick with you. Here's his story, in his own words. My name's Colm. I'm from Cork, Ireland, and I spent 35 years working as a lineman for the ESB, that's the Electricity Supply Board, if you're not familiar. Outdoor work, all weather, the kind where you trust your harness, your training, and the lads working with you. It's not glamorous, but it's honest. You keep the lights on, people appreciate it, and the pension builds steady if you stick with it. I did, married the job you could say, never settled down properly, never had kids. Just the work and a few close mates in a cottage outside Kinsale that I bought in the 90s when property was still affordable. I was 58 when everything fell apart, not from the job that was solid till the end. It was Dermot that did it. Dermot O'Sullivan, known him since we were 14 at CBS Secondary, played hurling together, went to each other's weddings, stood godfather to his eldest. That kind of mate. Close. In 2018, Dermot came to me with a proposition. He'd been doing bits of electrical contracting on the side, small jobs, good money. Wanted to formalize it, bring me in as a partner. I'd do the skilled work installations, repairs, commercial jobs, and he'd handle the paperwork, invoicing, dealings with revenue. 50-50 split. Made sense at the time. I trusted him completely. For 4 years, it ticked along nicely. Extra few €100 a month, sometimes 1,000 if we landed a decent contract. I never looked at the books. That was Dermot's end of things, and he had experience with all that from his day job in insurance. I just showed up, did the work, took my cut, simple. Then one morning in November 2022, I'm having my tea when there's a knock at the door. 2 officials from the revenue commissioners, very polite, very serious. They asked if I was Colm Murphy, primary contractor for Murphy O'Sullivan Electrical Services. I said I was one of 2 partners, yeah. They asked to come in. What came out over the next hour made my stomach turn. Dermot had been cooking the books for 3 years, falsifying invoices, dodging VAT payments, claiming expenses for equipment that didn't exist, and on every bit of official paperwork, the business registration, the tax filings, the VAT returns, I was listed as the primary contractor, my name, my liability. I tried explaining I knew nothing about it, that Dermot handled all the administration, but legally it didn't matter. I'd signed the partnership agreement. The documents had my signature, even if I hadn't read them properly. The liability sat with me. 90,000 in unpaid VAT, penalties, and back taxes. They were investigating potential criminal charges for fraud. I rang Dermot straight away. He answered casual as anything, like we were arranging a pint. When I told him about the visit, there was this pause. Then he said, Jesus Colm, I was going to tell you. I've got a plan to sort it. But he had no plan. Just promises and excuses, and eventually he stopped answering my calls altogether. The next few months were hell. Solicitors, accountants, meetings with revenue. Every conversation ended the same way. I owed the money, and they wanted it paid. Criminal prosecution was possible, but they'd consider dropping it if I settled the debt quickly and cooperated fully. My solicitor was blunt pay-up or face potential jail time and a criminal record that would follow me forever. I had no choice. I put my cottage on the market in January 2023. It sold for $25,000 fair price for a 2-bed in Kinsale, bit of land, needs work. After the estate agent took their cut, I paid off $25,000 to revenue and solicitors. That left me with roughly $45,000. I also took my pension early at 58, which meant a reduced rate $1,200 a month instead of the full $1,600 I'd have gotten if I'd waited till 65. The paranoia started immediately. I'd check my letterbox 3 times a day, expecting more letters from revenue or the guards saying they were pressing charges anyway. I couldn't sleep, couldn't look my sister in the eye when she asked what happened to the cottage. The shame of it, working honest for 35 years and ending up broke and possibly facing criminal prosecution because I'd trusted the wrong person. I needed to get away, not a holiday, but properly away. Somewhere cheap where I could stretch my pension and savings, somewhere warm, somewhere I could disappear and not have to explain myself to every neighbor and former colleague. Somewhere the Irish authorities couldn't easily follow if they decided to come after me again. I wasn't the adventurous type, never traveled much beyond Spain for holidays. But a lad I'd worked with, Martin, had taken early retirement and moved to Thailand a few years back. He'd send photos, sometimes cheap apartments, beaches, cold beer, Thai food for buttons. He'd told me once, you could live comfortably on €800 or €900 a month if you were careful. Thailand. I knew the reputation, of course. Pattaya especially, sex tourism, bar girls, old men with young Thai girlfriends. But I wasn't looking for any of that. I was looking for cheap rent, warm weather, and a place where nobody knew Colm Murphy or his mate Dermot the Fraud. I did some basic research. Retirement visa at 50 required 800,000 baht in a Thai bank account, which I didn't have and didn't want to lock up. Tourist visa would do for now, could extend it, do border runs if needed. Found forums where expats discussed costs. Pattaya kept coming up as cheap if you could tolerate it. In February 2023, I booked a one-way ticket to Bangkok, packed 2 suitcases with summer clothes, closed my Irish bank account except for the pension payments, and left Cork on a Tuesday morning without telling anyone except my sister. Told her I needed time away, would be in touch. She looked worried but didn't push it. The flight was 13 hours. I didn't sleep. Just kept thinking about Dermot, about the cottage, about how 35 years of careful living had come to this, running away to Thailand with 45,000 and a pension that wouldn't stretch far in Ireland anymore. I was 58 years old, no home, no real plan, just hoping Thailand was as cheap as Martin said. When the plane touched down in Bangkok, it was 34 degrees and humid, like a wet towel pressed over your face. I got a taxi to the bus station and another bus down to Pattaya, about 2 hours south. First impression, chaos. Motorbikes everywhere. The heat, the smell of fish sauce and exhaust. Neon signs I couldn't read. And Farang then, white blokes my age and older everywhere. Mostly with Thai women half their age hanging off them. I found a guest house in Jomtien for the first week, then started looking for something permanent. A studio apartment, basic but clean, 5-minute walk from the beach, 7,000 baht a month, which worked out to about 8,180, seemed like a steal compared to Irish rents. I paid 3 months up front, moved in with my 2 suitcases and thought, right, this is home now, make it work. And for a while, I did. I had my routines. Morning walk along Jomtien Beach before the heat got brutal. Breakfast at a street food stall, khao tom or jok, rice porridge, 40 baht. Lunch somewhere cheap, usually fried rice or noodles, 50 or 60 baht, dinner the same. Avoided the tourist restaurants and bars. Learned enough Thai to order food and say hello, nothing fancy. Kept my head down, watched my money, no letters from revenue arrived, no calls from solicitors. Just heat and humidity and the sound of motorbikes and the knowledge that back in Cork, people were probably talking about what happened to Colm Murphy and why he left so sudden. But here, I was nobody. Just another Farang. Anonymous.safe. That's what I told myself anyway. The first month in Pattaya felt like a reprieve. Like I'd finally stopped running and could just breathe for a minute. My studio in Jomtien was basic, but it had everything I needed. Bed, fan, little kitchenette, bathroom with a shower that worked most of the time. The building was full of Farang, mostly men my age or older, all keeping to themselves. Nobody asked questions. That suited me fine. I established routines because routines keep you sane. Up at 6 before the heat got unbearable. Walk along Jomtien Beach, 5 kilometers there and back. The beach was nice enough, not pristine, bit of rubbish here and there. But the sea was warm and the sunrise was something. Back to the condo by 8, shower, then out for breakfast at a little stall near the 7-Eleven. The woman there made proper joke rice porridge with pork and ginger for 40 baht. About €1. You can't get breakfast for €1 in Cork anymore. Lunch was usually ko pad moo or pad krapao from another stall, 50 or 60 baht. Dinner the same. I avoided the Farang restaurants with their English menus and inflated prices. If Thais were eating there, the price was right. I learned to say my pet, not spicy, and kop kun krap thank you. That was about the extent of my Thai, but it got me by. I tracked every baht in a little notebook. Rent, food, utilities, visa fees. My monthly budget was around 25,000 baht, about 630. That left plenty of buffer from my 1,200 pension. The 45,000 in savings was my safety net. Untouchable except for emergencies. I checked my bank balance on my phone every morning like some people check the weather. For the first few months, it worked. I was living cheap, staying out of trouble, and nobody from Ireland was knocking on my door. The paranoia started to ease a bit. Maybe I really had gotten away with it. Maybe Dermot's mess would stay in Cork and I could just exist here quietly until I figured out what came next. But Thailand wears you down in ways you don't expect. The heat, for one. It never stops. Even at night it's 28 degrees, humid, the fan just pushing hot air around. I'd wake up at 3 in the morning drenched in sweat, sheets stuck to me, and lie there thinking about nothing and everything. About Dermot, about the cottage, about how I'd ended up 58 years old and living in a studio apartment in Thailand eating rice porridge for breakfast. The language barrier was exhausting too. Simple things, buying a SIM card, asking where the pharmacy was, explaining that the shower wasn't working became these elaborate games of charades and broken English. Made me feel thick as a plank half the time. Back home I could fix anything electrical, sort any problem. But here I couldn't even ask for paracetamol without pointing at my head and groaning. And then there was the expat community, which was honestly depressing. You'd see them everywhere in Jomtien. Blokes my age, older, sitting in bars at 10 in the morning, nursing Chang beers, bellies hanging over their shorts, watching football on telly, or walking beach road with Thai girlfriends young enough to be their granddaughters, holding hands like it was normal. The girls would be on their phones, bored, while the men looked proud as punch, like they'd won something. I tried talking to a few. There was a Brit called Malcolm at my local 7-Eleven, always there buying Leo beer in the morning. He'd lived in Pattaya 8 years, had a Thai wife in Isan, sent her money every month but rarely saw her. He talked constantly about exchange rates, how the baht was killing him, how everything was getting expensive, how Thailand wasn't what it used to be. Every conversation ended the same way, a warning about Thai women and how you couldn't trust any of them. There was an Australian called Davo who lived 2 floors down. Nice enough bloke, ex-construction, but he drank too much and every story was about some bar girl who'd done him wrong or some scam he barely avoided. He had opinions about everything Thai politics, which bars to avoid, which visa agents were crooked, but underneath it all, you could hear the loneliness. Bloke was living in paradise and miserable as sin. The worst were the bitter ones, the ones who'd been here 10-15 years and hated everything. Hated the heat, hated the traffic, hated the Thais, hated the other Farang. But they stayed because they'd spent so much they couldn't afford to leave. They'd sit in the same bar every night, drinking cheap whiskey, complaining about how Pattaya had changed, how it used to be better, how everyone was trying to rip them off. Looking at them was like looking at my future if I wasn't careful. I started avoiding other expats after a while, kept to myself. But that brought its own problems. The loneliness crept in around month 4. Slow at first, then all at once. I'd be eating dinner at some street stall, surrounded by Thais laughing and talking, families with kids, couples, groups of mates. And I'd realize I hadn't had a proper conversation with anyone in days. Just transactions. Sawadee crap, my pet, kop kun crap. That was it. Nobody knew me. Nobody cared if I was there or not. Video calls with my sister back in court made it worse. She'd ask how I was doing, what the weather was like. When I was coming home, I'd lie and say everything was grand, just needed more time, enjoying the change of scenery. She'd look worried, but not push it. After we'd hang up, I'd sit there in my studio, fan whirring, motorbikes outside, and feel more alone than I'd ever felt in my life. Back in Cork, even after the Dermot mess, I had context. People knew me. I was Cole Murphy, been around 35 years, worked for the ESB, fixed your power when the storms knocked it out. Here, I was nobody. Just another old Farang in cheap shorts and sandals, eating pad thai alone at a plastic table. That's when it hit me. This wasn't the holiday. This was my life now. No cottage to go back to. No job. No mates down the pub who'd known me since I was 20. Just heat and humidity and anonymity and the slow realization that cheap living costs more than money. It costs purpose. It costs connection. It costs the sense that you matter to anyone at all. I started walking more, just to fill the time. Long walks up and down Jomtien Beach, around the neighborhoods behind the main road. I'd pass beer bars with names like Crazy Horse and Wild West. Girls sitting outside calling out to Farang walking past. I'd pass massage parlors with women in matching uniforms sitting on benches, bored on their phones. I'd pass restaurants with menus in 5 languages, all catering to tourists and expats who wanted comfort food from home at Thai prices. Pattaya is a strange place. It's built entirely around extracting money from foreign men. Everything's designed for it. The bars, the girls, the apartments, the visa services, the money changers. There's no real industry, no real culture visible to outsiders. Just this massive machine that takes lonely men from other countries and slowly drains them until there's nothing left. And the thing is, you know it. Everyone knows it. But you tell yourself you're different. You're smarter. You won't fall for the scams. You'll keep your head down, live cheap, and it'll all work out fine. That's what I told myself anyway. By month 6, August 2023, the initial relief had completely worn off. I'd saved a bit of money, yeah. My bank balance was still around 42,000. But what was the point of it? I had no plans, no purpose, no connections. Just routines and heat and loneliness. I needed something. Anything. Just some small human connection to make this feel less like purgatory. That's when I found the restaurant. I found it by accident, really. 3 blocks from my condo, down a little soy off the main road. Not touristy at all, just a small open-air place with plastic tables and chairs, a kitchen at the back where you could see the cooking happening, and a handful of Thai workers eating lunch. No English menu. No pictures of pad Thai and spring rolls for the Farang. Just handwritten Thai on a whiteboard, and the smell of garlic and chili hitting you as you walked past. I'd been walking by it for weeks without noticing. But one afternoon in late August, I was properly fed up with my usual rotation of street stalls and thought, why not? Sat down at a plastic table, waited, and a woman came over with a notepad. That was Knock. She was maybe 40, slim, tired-looking in the way people who work too hard look. Hair pulled back, simple clothes, no makeup, not dressed up like the bar girls on Beach Road, just a working woman doing her job. She said something in Thai, and I just pointed at what the bloke next to me was eating cow pad gai, fried rice with chicken. She nodded and went back to the kitchen. The food came out quick. Hot, proper Thai cooking, not the watered-down tourist version 50 baht, about 125. I ate it, paid, left, simple, but I went back the next day. And the day after that. Looking back now, I can see what was happening. I was desperate for routine, for familiarity, for someone to recognize me. And Nok provided that without me even realizing how much I needed it. By the second week, she started remembering my order. I'd sit down and she'd just nod, say, cow pod gai mai, pet fried rice with chicken, no chili without me having to point or struggle through my terrible Thai. That small recognition, that tiny acknowledgement that someone remembered me, felt like more than it should have. Then she started asking simple questions. Where are you from? How long Thailand? You like Pattaya? Her English wasn't great, but it was better than my Thai. We'd have these short, broken conversations while she cleared my table or brought me water. She seemed genuinely curious about Ireland. Asked about the weather, if it was very cold, if we had beaches. I told her about Cork, about the rain, about how different everything was here. She'd smile, nod, say, Ireland very beautiful, must be nice. It wasn't romantic. I need to be clear about that. I wasn't looking for a girlfriend or a wife or whatever you want to call it. Knock was just kind, professional. And after 6 months of nobody giving a toss whether I existed or not, kindness felt like oxygen. I started eating there twice a day, lunch and dinner. Sometimes breakfast if I walked that direction. The food was good and cheap, yeah. But really, I was there because it felt less lonely than eating at the street stalls where nobody knew me. Nok worked alongside her mother, an older Thai woman who did most of the cooking. The mother didn't speak any English, just smiled and nodded when I came in. They'd chat in Thai while working, laughing sometimes, and I'd sit there eating my cow pad and just enjoy being around people who seemed normal, not bitter expats or bar girls or touts trying to sell me something, just regular people working. After a few weeks, Nok mentioned her daughter. Casual, while wiping down my table. She has 14 years, good student, live with me and my mother near Sukhumvit, her father no good, leave when she baby. I work hard for her, give good life. I said that was admirable, raising a kid on her own. She smiled, said not easy, but she, good girl, I lucky. Another week passed. I'd been in Pattaya nearly 7 months by this point, late September 2023. My routine was completely centered around that restaurant. I planned my day around mealtimes there. Pathetic, really, but it was all I had. Then one evening, Nok was clearing my plate and she just stood there for a moment, looking stressed. I asked if everything was okay. She hesitated, then said her daughter's school fees were due next week. Government school, so not expensive like international school, but still 18,000 baht for the term. Her ex-husband was supposed to pay half, but he disappeared. No contact, no money. She didn't have enough this month because business was slow and her mother needed medicine. She didn't ask me for money. She just mentioned it, looking worried, then took my plate to the kitchen. I sat there for a minute. 18,000 baht was about 450, not a huge amount, but not nothing either. In my head, I could hear Malcolm and Davo and all the other expats warning about sob stories and scams. Every Thai woman has a sick buffalo or school fees or a broken motorbike, they'd say. It's always the same routine. But this felt different. Nok had never asked me for anything, never hinted. She was just sharing her stress the way you might with a regular customer, someone you'd gotten friendly with. And honestly, 450 wasn't going to make or break me. I had 42,000 in the bank and a pension coming in every month. What was I saving it for? To die alone in my studio with a fat bank balance? When Nok came back with the bill, 50 baht like always, I told her I could help with the school fees if she needed. Loan-like, she could pay me back whenever. The relief on her face was immediate. She said, no, cannot ask customer for money. I said I was offering, not her asking. It's a loan. You pay me back when business is better. She looked like she might cry. Said you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure. It's not a problem. She grabbed my hand across the table, squeezed it, said Kop Kung Ka. So many times I lost count. Said I was very good man, very kind man, not like other Farang who only want one thing. She'd pay me back, she promised, 2 months maximum. I transferred the money that night from my phone, 18,000 baht. She sent me about 15 messages thanking me, saying her daughter could stay in school. I was like angel for her family. And I'll be honest with you, it felt good, really good. For the first time since Dermot destroyed my life, I felt useful, capable. Like I could solve a problem and help someone who deserved it. Nok worked hard, raised her kid alone, never complained. She just needed a bit of help to get over a rough patch. That's what neighbors do, isn't it? That's what decent people do. I went to bed that night feeling better than I had in months, maybe years. Looking back, that was the moment. That was when I should have seen what was happening. But I didn't. I was too lonely, too desperate to matter to someone, too eager to believe I was doing something meaningful, instead of just being played like every other sad farang who comes to Pattaya looking for purpose. The next few weeks were brilliant. Not treated me like family. I'd come in and she'd already be making my food. She'd sit with me sometimes when the restaurant was quiet, tell me about her daughter's schoolwork, ask about my life in Ireland, share jokes even though we didn't always understand each other properly. Her daughter came by once, shy kid, polite, called me Uncle Calm, made me feel like I belonged somewhere. Nok never mentioned the money again. No timeline, no repayment plan. I told myself that was fine. She'd pay it back when she could or she wouldn't, and either way, I'd helped someone who needed it. What did G450 matter in the grand scheme of things? That's what I told myself anyway. What I didn't see, what I refused to see, was that I'd just done exactly what Malcolm and Davo and every other bitter expat had warned me about. I'd crossed the line from customer to bank, from stranger to mark. And once you cross that line in Pattaya, there's no going back. November came quick. The weather shifted slightly, still hot, but the rains were easing off, heading into what they call the cool season. Not that you'd notice much difference. Still 30 degrees most days. I'd been eating at Nok's restaurant twice a day for nearly 3 months now. The school fees were never mentioned again, but I didn't mind. She was feeding me well, treating me like family, and I genuinely enjoyed the routine. Her daughter would stop by after school sometimes, do her homework at one of the tables while Nok worked. Polite kid. Always wide when she saw me, called me uncle, made me feel like I was part of something. Then mid-November, Nok's motorbike broke down. She mentioned it casually while bringing me my lunch. Her Honda Wave, 15 years old, finally gave up. Wouldn't start. She needed it for shopping at the morning market. The restaurant got its ingredients fresh every day, and without the bike she'd have to pay for taxis or tuk-tuks, which would eat into already thin margins. The repair shop quoted 12,000 baht. About 300. She didn't ask. Just mentioned it, looking stressed, the same way she'd mentioned the school fees. I sat there eating my calpad thinking, but no, 300 wasn't nothing, but it also wasn't catastrophic. And realistically, if No couldn't get to the market, the restaurant would suffer. I was eating here twice a day. It was in my interest that she had transport, wasn't it? Plus, she was feeding me for 50 or 60 baht a meal when tourist restaurants charged 150 or 200. Over 3 months, I'd saved hundreds compared to eating elsewhere. I told her I'd cover the repair. Same as before, a loan, pay me back whenever. The gratitude was immediate and overwhelming. She hugged me right there in the restaurant, in front of other customers. Said I was the best man, so kind, not like Thai men who never help, only take. She'd pay me back, she promised. Soon. When business got better, I transferred 12,000 baht that evening. She sent me photos of the bike at the repair shop the next day, then a video of it running again. See? She messaged. All working now. Thank you so much, Kun Kom. You saved my life. It felt good again. Solving problems. Being useful. The capable man I'd always been before Dermot made me doubt everything. Looking back, I should have seen the pattern forming. But I didn't. I told myself this was different. These were real problems, real needs. The motorbike was actually broken. I'd seen it myself, wouldn't start. This wasn't some scam about a sick buffalo I'd never met. This was practical help for someone who worked hard and deserved a break. December brought the next request. It was a few days before Christmas. I'd been in Pattaya 10 months at this point. My bank balance was down to about 38,000, still comfortable, but the number going down bothered me more than it should have. I checked it every morning and watched the slow erosion. Rent, food, the money to knock, visa extension fees, the odd beer or two, nothing dramatic, but steady. Nok's mother got sick, diabetes apparently. Needed medication from a hospital in Isan. Her village clinic didn't stock it, and Bangkok hospital prices were impossible for people like them. 25,000 baht for a 3-month supply. About 625. This time, I hesitated. Not because I didn't believe her. Nok showed me photos of her elderly mother looking frail, showed me the prescription in Thai that I couldn't read but looked official. I hesitated because 625 was real money. With the school fees and the motorbike, I'd already given her 750. Adding another 625 would put me over 2,300 total. But it was December, nearly Christmas. And what kind of person would I be if I let someone's mother go without medication because I was too tight with money? In Ireland, if a neighbor's mam needed medicine and they were short, you'd help. That's just what decent people do. I sat in my studio that night, fan whirring, looking at my bank balance on my phone, 20,200 coming in every month from the pension. I was living on about 630 a month, so I had plenty of buffer. The 45,000 I'd arrived with was meant to last me years. Yeah, but what good was it if I had no purpose, no connections, no reason to be here except counting money like the bitter expats I'd sworn I wouldn't become? I transferred the 25,000 baht. Nak cried when I told her. Actual tears. Said I was like a father to her. Like an angel sent by Buddha to help her family. She'd never forget this kindness. Never. She'd pay me back everything, all of it, as soon as she could. She promised. Her mother recovered, apparently. Knox showed me photos a week later, the old woman looking healthier, smiling, surrounded by family in some village I'd never seen. I felt good about it. Properly good. I'd helped save someone's life, essentially. That mattered more than money. But here's what I kept telling myself, to justify it all. These weren't bar girl scams. This was real life. People have emergencies. Families need help, bills come due, motorbikes break down, mothers get sick. This is just how life works when you're poor in Thailand. Nak wasn't asking for gold jewelry or a new phone or a trip to Phuket. She was asking for school fees and medicine and vehicle repairs. Essential things. And honestly, what else was I spending my money on? I was living modestly, eating cheap, not drinking heavily or going to the bars. I could afford to help someone who treated me with genuine kindness and made me feel like I mattered. That's what I told myself anyway. By January 2024, my routine was completely centered around that restaurant. Breakfast there if I woke up early enough. Lunch there every day. Dinner there most nights. Long conversations with Nak when it wasn't busy. Meeting her daughter after school. Being called uncle by a 14-year-old Thai kid who seemed genuinely fond of me. I'd given Nak approximately 1,600 over 4 months. The repayment was never mentioned. I didn't bring it up, and neither did she. It just hung there, unspoken, and I told myself it didn't matter. These were loans, yeah, but between friends. Family almost. You don't chase family for money when they're struggling. What I didn't see, what I absolutely refused to see, was that I'd normalized it. The financial support had become part of our relationship. Part of what made me valuable to her. Part of what kept me connected to the only people in Thailand who treated me like I mattered. I'd become exactly what Malcolm had warned me about. A Farang ATM. But I couldn't see it because I'd convinced myself this was different. Nak wasn't like the bar girls. She worked hard. She had real problems. She appreciated me. And maybe that was true. Maybe she did appreciate me. But appreciation and connection aren't the same thing as equality. I was the one with money. She was the one with problems that money could solve. That's not friendship. That's transaction. But I was too lonely and too desperate to admit it. January in Jomtien was pleasant enough. The cool season, though still 28 degrees most days. I'd walk the beach in the mornings, eat at Knox for lunch, kill time in my studio during the hot afternoon, then back to the restaurant for dinner. That was my life. Simple, cheap, and centered entirely around the illusion that I belonged somewhere. My bank balance was down to about 36,000. Not concerning yet, but the trajectory bothered me. I'd been in Thailand 11 months and burned through 9,000. Some of that was normal living expenses, yeah, but nearly 1,600 had gone to Nak. If this continued, my safety net would evaporate faster than I'd planned. But I pushed that worry aside. Told myself it was temporary. Once Nak got on her feet, things would stabilize. Maybe she'd even pay me back. And even if she didn't, wasn't the connection worth it? Wasn't having someone who cared about me worth more than money sitting in a bank account? That's what I kept telling myself as February 2024 approached. My 1-year anniversary in Pattaya. A year of heat and loneliness and slow financial erosion. A year of telling myself I was helping someone instead of admitting I was paying for the illusion of mattering to another human being. A year of building toward the moment when Nok would ask for something I couldn't refuse, and I'd cross from helping into investing, from generous into foolish, from careful into committed past any reasonable point of return. That moment was coming. I just didn't know it yet. February 2024. 1 year in Pattaya, 59 years old, living in a studio apartment in Thailand, eating street food and counting baht. Not how I'd pictured retirement, but here we were. The heat was building again, heading into hot season. 32, 33 degrees most days, humidity like breathing through wet cotton. My walks got shorter. The beach at sunrise was tolerable, but by 9 in the morning you were drenched just standing still. I'd settled into my life, such as it was. Breakfast at Knox if I was up early. Lunch there every day. Dinner most nights. In between, I'd kill time in my studio, read books on my phone, watch YouTube, try not to think too much about how I'd ended up here. Then one evening in mid-February, Knox sat down across from me while I was finishing my kale pad. The restaurant was quiet, just me and an old Thai couple in the corner. Her mother was in the kitchen cleaning up. "We need talk," she said. "I have idea." She looked excited, nervous maybe, started telling me about her dream. She was tired of working for someone else, tired of the restaurant owner taking most of the profit while she and her mother did all the work. Her mother was getting older, couldn't handle the long hours anymore. Nock wanted to start her own business. A food cart, not a big restaurant, she said. Just small cart. Some tam, grilled chicken, sticky rice. Simple food, good quality. She'd been researching it for months, knew exactly what she needed. The cart itself was 80,000 baht, but that was just the start. She needed permits from the city, initial stock, propane tanks, utensils, a good location near a school or office building where she could get regular customers. Total startup, 120,000 baht. About 9,200. If it worked and she was certain it would work, she could make 1,000 to 1,500 baht profit per day. Enough to support her family properly. Enough to pay me back everything she owed me. Within a year, she promised. Maybe less. I sat there listening, doing the math in my head. Use 3,200 was serious money. About 7% of my total savings. With what I'd already given her, I'd be in for nearly 5,000 total. That was different from school fees or a motorbike repair. That was investment territory. She showed me her planning, handwritten calculations on notebook paper, all in Thai except the numbers. Photos on her phone of the cart model. She wanted a nice stainless steel setup with a glass case for ingredients, wheels so she could move it. She found a location near a government office building in East Pattaya, spoke to the owner about renting the spot. 3,000 baht a month for the location, electricity included. "I can do this," she said. "I know I can, but I need help start. Nobody else help me. Bank want too much interest, too many papers. My family no have money. Only you only person who believe in me." She looked at me with those tired eyes, and I saw something I recognized, desperation. The same desperation I'd felt selling my cottage to pay off Dermot's debts, the desperation of someone who'd worked hard their whole life and just needed one break to get ahead. I told her I'd think about it, needed a day or two. That night I lay in my studio, fan pushing hot air around, and went through it all. Top D3200 was a lot of money. If this went wrong, I'd have thrown away nearly 5,000 with nothing to show for it. My safety net would be down to 31,000 or so. At my current burn rate, that was maybe 4 years left before I'd be completely broke. But here's what I kept coming back to. What was the alternative? Continue living this same isolated existence. Keep eating alone, walking alone, existing in this limbo between countries. At least with the food cart there was a plan. Something real, something that could actually work. And if it did work, Nock would be self-sufficient. She'd pay me back, maybe with interest. I'd have helped someone escape poverty through actual entrepreneurship, not just handouts. That mattered. That had meaning. The money was just sitting in my bank anyway. What was I saving it for? I had no plans to go back to Ireland. No property to buy, no family to leave it to. Just me and my pension and a dwindling nest egg in a place where I didn't belong. Plus, and I'm being honest here, I liked feeling useful, needed. Important. For the first time in a year, someone actually needed me for something that mattered. Not just to fix a temporary problem, but to build something real. That felt better than anything money could buy. 2 days later, I told Nock I'd help. But I wanted some structure, a proper business plan, even if handwritten. Receipts for everything, updates on progress. This was an investment, not a gift. She agreed immediately. Said, of course, I understand. This is business. Professional. Professional. She'd keep me informed every step. I wouldn't regret this. I was her angel, her savior. She'd never forget what I was doing for her family. I transferred 120,000 baht on February 20th, 2000 Taber. Brought my total given to her to nearly 5,000. She cried when the money came through. Hugged me in the restaurant. Held on for a long time. Whispered Kap Kanka over and over. Said I'd changed her life, her daughter's life, her mother's life. Everything would be different now because of me. And I won't lie, it felt incredible. Like I'd finally done something meaningful with my life in Thailand. Not just existed, but actually helped someone in a real way. Made a difference. Looking back now, that was the moment I crossed the line completely. From helper to investor. From generous to foolish. From careful to committed past any reasonable point of return. I'd tied my sense of purpose to Nock's success, which meant I'd tied it to money I'd never see again. But I didn't know that yet. March started well. Nock sent me updates almost daily, photos of her meeting with the cart supplier, screenshots of permit applications, the location owner confirming the rental agreement. Everything seemed to be moving forward exactly as planned. She'd ordered the cart, she said, should arrive in 2 weeks. Then she'd get the permits finalized, stock the initial ingredients, and be open for business by mid-April. She was excited. I was excited. Finally, something to look forward to. But then the delays started. First, it was the cart supplier. They'd run out of the model she wanted, had to order from Bangkok, would take an extra week. Fine, I told myself. These things happen. Then it was the permits. The city office needed additional paperwork, some document about food handling certification that she hadn't known about. Another week to sort that out. Then it was the location. The owner had rented it to someone else, claimed he'd never confirmed anything was knock. She had to find a new spot, was looking at a location near a school in Jomtien now, but negotiations were ongoing. By April, I was starting to feel uneasy. The updates became less frequent, more vague. When I asked direct questions, where's the cart now, what's the status on permits, have you secured a new location, she'd get emotional. Say I didn't trust her. After everything she'd done for me, after all the meals, after treating me like family, I didn't believe in her anymore. I tried explaining I just wanted to understand what was happening with the money. This was an investment. We'd agreed on updates and receipts. That was the deal. She'd cry. Say Thai people very different from Farang. We don't do business like you. Everything take time. Have to wait, be patient. Supplier is family friend. Cannot rush him or he lose face. Permits very complicated in Thailand. Must wait for government. Cannot control these things. Then she'd mention she needed more money. The premium cart model cost extra 15,000 baht more, but would last longer, look more professional, attract better customers. Or the new location required a deposit she hadn't budgeted for, or the permits cost more than expected. I never sent more money. That much I held firm on. But I also didn't push too hard for answers because every time I did, she'd get upset, sometimes wouldn't show up at the restaurant for a few days, and I'd be left eating street food alone again, feeling like I'd ruined the only meaningful relationship I had in Thailand. So I'd back off. Tell myself businesses take time. Rome wasn't built in a day. Thai bureaucracy is famously slow. The cart would come eventually. Everything would work out. By late April, my bank balance was at my routine was still centered on the restaurant, but something had shifted. The conversations with Nok weren't as easy anymore. She was distant, stressed. Always on her phone when I came in, typing messages in Thai I couldn't read. Her daughter stopped coming by after school. When I asked about her, Nok would say she's busy, studying hard, very good girl, but something felt off. I'd lie awake at night, fan worrying, and go over every conversation, every receipt photo, every update, trying to figure out if this was legitimate delays or if I'd been played. Trying to ignore the voice in my head that sounded like Malcolm and Davos saying I told you so. But I'd already given her W5,000. What was I supposed to do? Walk away? Demand my money back? That would end whatever relationship we had. And then, what would I have? Nothing. Nobody. Just my studio and my dwindling bank balance, and the slow realization that I'd paid nearly 5,000 for the temporary illusion of mattering to someone. I couldn't admit that yet, so I kept going to the restaurant, kept pretending everything was fine, kept telling myself the cart would materialize any day now, Nok would be successful, she'd pay me back, and this would all have been worth it. That's what I told myself anyway. But deep down, in the pit of my stomach where the truth lives before you're ready to admit it, I knew. I'd crossed a line I couldn't uncross. I'd become the very thing I'd promised myself. I wouldn't become just another lonely Farang who'd confuse transaction with connection, who'd pay good money for the privilege of feeling like he mattered, who was now too proud and too invested to admit he'd been played. The cart was never coming. I knew it. I just wasn't ready to face it yet. Early May 2024, and Nok stopped showing up at the restaurant. First day, I didn't think much of it. Her mother was there, doing the cooking, gave me my usual CalPad guy. When I asked where Nok was, she said something in Thai I didn't understand, made a gesture like sleeping or being sick, mai sabai. Not well. Second day, same thing. The mother looking stressed now, avoiding eye contact. I tried asking again, but she just shook her head, went back to the kitchen. Third day, I rang Nok's mobile. Straight to voicemail. Sent a text. No response. By the end of the week, I was properly worried. Not just about the money, though. Yeah, that was there too, but about whether something had actually happened to her. An accident. Real illness. Something. Mid-May, I went to the restaurant for lunch and the owner was there. Middle-aged Thai bloke I'd seen a few times but never spoken to. He was rearranging tables, looked busy. I asked him where Nok was. He looked at me confused. Nok? She not work here anymore. She quit 3 weeks ago. No notice, just stopped coming. Very unprofessional. 3 weeks. She'd quit 3 weeks ago and nobody had told me. Her mother had been lying to me every day, serving me food and taking my money while I asked about her daughter. The owner said the mother quit too, a few days after Nok. He had to hire new staff. Very difficult. He seemed annoyed about the whole thing, like it was an inconvenience to him. I stood there in the heat, traffic roaring past on the main road, motorbikes beeping, and felt the ground shift under me. I tried ringing Nok again, voicemail, text messages unread. I sent maybe 10 messages that day, each one more desperate than the last. Where are you? Are you okay? Just let me know you're safe. I'm worried about you. Nothing. I tried finding her house near Sukhumvit. But I realized I'd never actually had the address. She'd mentioned the area once or twice near Sukhumvit, small house. She lived with her mother and daughter. That was it. Sukhumvit Road in Pattaya is kilometers long, hundreds of swa branching off it, thousands of houses. I didn't even know her last name. That's when it hit me properly, the whole thing. The enormity of my stupidity. I'd given a woman nearly 5,000 and I didn't know her last name. Didn't know where she lived. Didn't have any real proof the daughter was even hers. Didn't have receipts for anything except the mobile banking transfers. Didn't have a contract, a business registration, a permit application, nothing. I'd been scammed. Completely, obviously, textbook scammed. The shame of it was worse than losing the money. I spent June barely leaving my condo. Just lying there in the heat, fan whirring, going over every conversation, every moment, looking for signs I'd missed. And they were everywhere. Christ, they were everywhere. She never showed me receipts for the school fees, just mentioned them, and I sent money. The motorbike, I'd seen it not starting. Yeah, but had it actually been broken? Or had she just not turned the key properly? I'd never seen a repair invoice. The mother's diabetes medication, she showed me photos of an old woman and a prescription I couldn't read. Could have been anyone. Could have been anything. The food cart handwritten notes in Thai, photos of carts she found online, mentions of a location that fell through. Not one concrete piece of evidence that any of it was real. Even the daughter. Sweet kid. Polite. Called me uncle. But I'd only met her twice. She could have been anyone's daughter, a niece, a neighbor's kid, paid to play a role for an hour. I'd wanted so badly to matter to someone that I'd willingly suspended all critical thinking, ignored every warning Malcolm and Davo and every other expat had given me, told myself Knock was different because she wasn't a bar girl, but the mechanism was identical. Gradual escalation, family emergencies, business opportunity, disappearance. I was a cliché. A walking, talking cautionary tale, the exact type of sad, lonely farang I'd promised myself I wouldn't become. By July, I was going properly mental in my condo. Had to get out, talk to someone, even if it was just to admit what had happened. I started drinking at a small bar in Jomtien, nothing fancy, just a local place where a few expats gathered in the evenings. That's where I met Graham, Barry, and Randy. Graham was British, from Essex, mid-60s. Lived in Pattaya 6 years. He started talking after his third Leo, told me about his ex-girlfriend Porn, not her real name obviously, just what everyone called her. He'd been with her 2 years, gave her money every month for her family in Izan, helped her buy a motorbike, paid for her kids' school. Turned out she had 2 other Farang boyfriends, both sending money, both thinking they were the only one. She owned 3 condos in Jomtien from previous relationships. Different men, same pattern. Graham found out when he saw her on Beach Road with another bloke, holding hands, laughing. Confronted her. She didn't even deny it. Just said, "This is Pattaya, what you expect." He'd given her over 80,000 in 2 years. Had nothing to show for it except the knowledge he'd been played. Barry was Australian, ex-construction worker from Brisbane. He'd bought a condo with his girlfriend. Well, she bought it because foreigners can't own land in Thailand. Cost him 3.5 million baht, about 90,000. Put it entirely in her name because that's how it works here. She promised it was for both of them, their future together. 6 months later, she dumped him. Kept the condo. He had no legal recourse. In Thailand, if property's in someone's name, it's theirs. Doesn't matter who paid for it. Randy was American, from Texas. He'd funded an entire house for his Thai wife's family in Isan, sent money for years to build it, furnish it, make it nice. The wife left him, kept the house. He was fighting to get his name added to the deed, but his lawyer told him it was hopeless. The house belonged to the family. He'd just paid for it. These weren't stupid men. Graham had run his own business in the UK. Barry had managed construction projects worth millions. Randy had been in oil and gas. Successful, capable men who'd made one critical error. They'd come to Thailand lonely, vulnerable, desperate to matter to someone. And Pattaya had extracted every baht it could from them. We sat there in that bar, 4 men in our 50s and 60s, drinking cheap beer and admitting to each other what we couldn't admit to anyone else. We'd confused transaction with connection. We paid for the illusion of being needed, being valued, being loved. And now we were stuck. Stuck because we'd spent so much we couldn't afford to leave. Stuck because going home meant admitting defeat, explaining what happened, facing the judgment. Stuck because the shame was too heavy to carry back across the ocean. Graham put it best. This isn't retirement, mate. It's purgatory with better weather. That hit me hard. Because he was right. Pattaya isn't a destination. It's a trap designed to extract money from vulnerable foreign men. Everything about it, The cheap rent, the friendly smiles, the easy availability of company and attention, it's all designed to get you comfortable, get you spending, get you invested until you can't leave. The bar girls aren't the only ones running scams. It's the whole city. The massage parlors where they remember your name, the restaurants where they treat you special, the women who aren't bar girls but still somehow need money every month. It's all the same mechanism, just dressed differently. And the cruelest part, we knew. All of us knew. Malcolm had warned me. Davo had warned me. Every bitter expat I'd met had told me the same stories. But we'd all told ourselves we were different. Our situation was unique. Our girl was genuine. We were wrong. All of us. I walked back to my condo that night, 3 in the morning. Jomty and quiet except for the dogs and the occasional motorbike. Checked my bank balance on my phone under a streetlight. 27,000 left from the 45,000 I'd arrived with 18 months ago. 50,000 gone. The rest to rent, food, visa runs, just existing. At this rate, I had maybe 3 years left before I was completely broke. Then what? Teaching English with no qualifications, working illegally and risking deportation, becoming one of those desperate expats living on nothing, stuck in Thailand because they'd burned every bridge home. I stood there in the heat, humidity pressing down, and finally admitted the truth I'd been avoiding for months. I'd run away from Ireland to escape one problem, Dermot's betrayal, the legal mess, the shame, and created a worse one. I'd come to Thailand looking for cheap living and anonymity, and found loneliness and exploitation. I tried to buy purpose and connection with money, and ended up with neither. You can't outrun your problems by changing longitude. They follow you. The issues that made me vulnerable in Ireland, trusting the wrong person, needing to feel valuable, avoiding difficult truths, they all came with me to Thailand. Pattaya didn't create those problems. It just exploited them. And now I was stuck. Properly stuck, just like Graham and Barry and Randy and all the other men who'd made the same mistake and couldn't afford to leave. The next morning I blocked Knock's number, deleted our message history, stopped walking past the restaurant. What was the point? The money was gone. She was gone. Chasing her would only make me look more pathetic than I already felt. 50,000. That's what it cost me to learn what Malcolm had tried to tell me for free. In Pattaya, everyone wants something. And if you're lonely enough, desperate enough, you'll pay anything for the temporary illusion of mattering to someone. I'd paid. And now I was living with the consequences. It's September 2024 now. I've been in Pattaya nearly 19 months. The rainy season's ending, heat building again toward what they call winter but feels like summer anywhere else. 30 degrees, sticky. The kind of heat that makes you tired just existing. I'm sitting in my studio doing the math. Bank balance, 25,000, down from 45,000 when I arrived. That's 20,000 gone in less than 2 years. 5,000 to knock. The rest to rent, which just went up to 7,500 baht. Visa runs every few months. At 4,000 to 5,000 baht a pop, food, utilities, just staying alive in a place that's getting more expensive every month. My pension's still coming in, past 200 monthly, but the exchange rate's worse than when I arrived. What used to be 41 baht to the euro is now 38. Doesn't sound like much, but it adds up. My monthly expenses are running cost to 1,000 now, used to be NRC's 30. Everything costs more. Street food that was 50 baht is now 60 or 70. The 7-Eleven raised prices. Even the cheap stuff isn't cheap anymore. At this burn rate, I've got maybe 2.5 years before I'm completely broke. Then what? That's the question that keeps me up at night, fan whirring, sheets damp with sweat. Because I can't go home. Not really. Going back to Ireland means explaining what happened, means facing my sister and admitting I threw away nearly 20,000 in 18 months and have nothing to show for it except sunburn and shame. Means potentially dealing with whatever legal fallout might still be waiting from the Dermot situation. I never got confirmation that was fully settled, just silence, which could be fine or could be trouble I'm avoiding. I've got no property to go back to. No job prospects at 59, with a gap in my CV and a legal cloud hanging over me. Nowhere to live except maybe my sister's couch, which would last about a month before we both go mental. But staying in Pattaya means watching my safety net evaporate in a city designed to extract every last baht from men exactly like me. Because here's what I've learned. It's not just the knocks of the world running scams. It's everyone. The massage parlor where the girls remember your name and give you the special rate that's still twice what Thais pay. The taxi drivers who see a faring and suddenly every trip costs 200 baht. The visa agents charging 5,000 baht for services you could do yourself for 1,900 if you could navigate the bureaucracy and speak Thai. Every interaction is transactional. Everyone wants something. And if you're lonely enough, isolated enough, you'll pay it because what's the alternative? Being completely alone? I see it now everywhere I look. The expat community in Jomtien is divided into 2 groups. The ones who know they're being played and accept it as the cost of living here. And the ones who still think their situation is different, their girl is genuine, their investment will pay off. I was in the second group. Now I'm sliding into the first. Last week I saw Martin at a bar on Soi Dua Khao. Remember Martin, the ESB colleague who recommended Pattaya, told me you could live on $800 a month, sent all those photos of cheap apartments and beaches. He looks 10 years older than his age now, maybe 65, but could pass for 75. Skin leathered from the sun, belly hanging over his shorts, drinking Hong Thong whiskey at 4 in the afternoon with a Thai woman young enough to be his granddaughter. She was on her phone the whole time, bored, occasionally putting it down to smile at him when he ordered another round. He didn't recognize me at first. When he did, he waved me over, introduced the girl as his girlfriend. She gave me a way, said hello in that automatic way bar girls do, then went back to her phone. Martin wanted to talk about the good old days in Cork.DESB, the lads, the work we used to do. But his eyes were dead. Just going through the motions. At one point, the girlfriend said she needed money for her phone bill, 500 baht. He gave it to her without question. She disappeared for 20 minutes, came back smelling like cigarettes. That's my future if I stay. That's what Pattaya does to you. It doesn't kill you. It just slowly drains everything, your money, your dignity, your purpose, until you're this hollowed-out version of yourself, paying for company, pretending it's something more than transaction because admitting the truth is too painful. Here's what I've realized, and it's taken me 18 months and 20,000 to figure it out. You can't outrun your problems by changing longitude. The issues that made me vulnerable in Ireland, trusting the wrong person, needing to feel valuable, avoiding difficult truths, they all came with me to Thailand. Dermot destroyed my trust, yeah, but I was the one who ran away instead of dealing with it. I was the one who thought cheap living and warm weather would fix loneliness. I was the one who confused Knock's kindness for connection because I was desperate to matter to someone. Pattaya didn't create those problems. It just exploited them. Brilliantly. And the cheap cost of living? That's a myth. Yeah, you can rent a studio for 7,500 baht and eat street food for 60 baht a meal. But you're being played at every turn. Wrong pricing for everything. Scams dressed as friendship. Women who see you as an ATM even when they're not bar girls. The real cost isn't in baht. It's in dignity. It's in purpose. It's in the slow realization that you've traded one kind of prison for another. Cork had rain and legal problems and shame. Pattaya has heat and exploitation and a different kind of shame. What would I tell my younger self? The Colm who was sitting in his cottage in Kinsale in January 2023, looking at that one-way ticket to Bangkok. Don't run. Fix your problems at home before you leave. Face the legal situation head-on instead of fleeing. Deal with the paranoia and shame in a place where you have support, where people know you, where you have context and history. Because loneliness is universal. It doesn't respect borders. Changing locations doesn't cure it. It just changes the scenery of your isolation. You can be lonely in Cork or lonely in Pattaya. But at least in Cork, you speak the language and know how things work and aren't being systematically exploited. The men I've met here, Graham, Barry, Randy, Martin, all the bitter expats at the bars, we are being scammed because we're in Thailand. We're in Thailand because we're the kind of men who get scammed, isolated, trusting when we shouldn't be, desperate to matter to someone, and we came to a place specifically designed to exploit exactly those vulnerabilities. So what now? I'm still here. Still in my Jomtien studio. Still eating street food and counting baht, still doing my morning walks on the beach, though they're shorter now because the heat's too much. But I've stopped looking for connection, stopped trying to belong. I recognize Pattaya for what it is now, not a retirement destination, but purgatory with better weather. A place where broken men from other countries come to slowly disappear. I'm looking at exit strategies. Maybe teaching English online, though I've got no qualifications. Maybe moving to somewhere cheaper in Thailand, Isan or Chiang Rai, where your money lasts longer and the expat scene is less predatory. Maybe, eventually, facing Ireland again and dealing with whatever consequences are waiting. I don't know yet, but I know I can't stay here long term. Not if I want to retain any dignity. Not if I want my final years to mean something more than just existing in a place that sees me as a resource to extract. I came to Pattaya to disappear, and I have. I've succeeded completely. I'm invisible here, just another aging Farang in shorts and sandals, walking alone, eating alone, slowly running out of money and options. Just not the way I planned. That's Colm's story. And if you're watching this thinking about retiring to Thailand, especially Pattaya, here's what I want you to understand. Thailand can be an amazing place. Beautiful country, friendly people, incredible food, rich culture. But you need to come here for the right reasons, not running from something, running towards something. With realistic expectations, proper preparation, and enough self-awareness to recognize your vulnerabilities before someone else exploits them. Ask yourself, what are you running from versus what are you running toward? Because if you're running from loneliness, legal problems, shame, or a life that fell apart, those things follow you. They don't stay behind at the airport. They get on the plane with you and set up shop in whatever cheap apartment you rent in Jomtien. Do your research. Understand visa requirements. That 800,000 baht for a retirement visa isn't optional if you want stability. Know the cost of living realities, including farang pricing and rising expenses. Have healthcare sorted because Thai hospitals are expensive and insurance gets pricier as you age. Understand legal protections for foreigners, which are limited, especially around property. Connect with established, stable expat communities before you commit financially. Not the bitter drinkers at bars, but people who've built actual lives here with structure and purpose. They exist. You just have to look past the obvious places. And understand this, loneliness and vulnerability don't respect borders. If you're isolated and desperate to matter to someone, you'll find people ready to exploit that anywhere in the world. Thailand's just more efficient at it. Kolm's not unique. His story represents thousands of similar experiences in Pattaya, Bangkok, Chiang Mai, all across Thailand. Good men, hard workers, who came here looking for cheap retirement and found expensive lessons instead. Don't be Kolm. Don't be Graham or Barry or Randy. Come to Thailand with your eyes open, your problems sorted, and your expectations realistic. Or don't come at all. Thanks for watching. This is Thailand. If this story helped you, or if you know someone who needs to hear it, share it. Leave your thoughts in the comments. And remember, geographic escapes don't solve internal problems. Deal with your issues wherever you are, not wherever you run to. Until next time.